What if you made a pact with the one person you trusted most in the world? A pact that said, for one of you to truly live, the other must die. This isn't the plot of a horror film. It's the documented story of June and Jennifer Gibbons. They were known as the Silent Twins. For nearly 30 years, they spoke to no one but each other. But their silence hid a secret world of obsession, genius, and a final, chilling sacrifice. The question isn't just what happened to them, but why it had to happen. To the outside world, the story began in Haverfordwest, Wales. June and Jennifer Gibbons, born in 1963, were the daughters of Barbadian immigrants. From the start, they were different. As the only black children in their community, they were relentlessly bullied. The taunts were so severe, school began dismissing them early just to give them a head start home. In response to this hostile world, the twins didn't just retreat, they built a fortress. They stopped speaking to their parents, their siblings, their teachers. Anyone outside their twinship was met with a wall of silence. This condition, known as elective mutism, was their shield. But behind that shield, they were anything but silent. They communicated with each other in a private accelerated language, a pidgin of Bajan Creole that was indecipherable to everyone else. Psychologists and linguists were baffled. The girls were inseparable, moving in eerie synchronicity, often mirroring each other's actions perfectly. They were locked in a world of two, and no one else had the key. But in the privacy of their bedroom, an explosion of creativity was underway. The Silent Girls were prolific writers. They saved their money to enroll in a mail-order creative writing course. They wrote thousands of diary entries, poems, plays, and even full-length novels. June's novel, The Pepsi-Cola Addict, tells the story of a teenager seduced by a teacher. Jennifer's Discomania follows a young woman whose passion for a local disco leads to violence and madness. Their writing was their only escape, but their diaries revealed a terrifying paradox. This inseparable bond was also a prison. They documented a toxic love-hate relationship, a daily power struggle that could turn violent. We have become fatal enemies in each other's eyes. We feel the irritating, killing nausea in each other's blood. I say to myself, can I get rid of my own shadow? Impossible. Or is it? They tried to live apart, but the separation was physically agonizing. They couldn't exist with each other, but they couldn't exist without each other. Desperate for any kind of recognition to be seen as individuals, they turned to crime. A spree of petty theft, vandalism, and arson finally got them noticed, but it led them to a place far worse than prison. In 1982, at just 19 years old, the twins were not sent to prison. They were declared psychopaths and sentenced to indefinite detention at Broadmoor, one of Britain's most notorious high-security psychiatric hospitals. They were surrounded by murderers and serial killers. The logic was baffling. Were these troubled, isolated girls truly as dangerous as the other inmates? Inside Broadmoor, their creative fire was nearly extinguished by heavy doses of antipsychotic medication. For 11 long years, they existed in this gray limbo, but one person managed to break through their silence. Journalist Marjorie Wallace. Over many visits, the twins began to trust her, and it was to Marjorie that they revealed their final, shocking secret. They had come to a solemn agreement, a conclusion they had reached in the silence of their shared world. They believed that for one of them to ever be free, to live a normal life, the other had to make the ultimate sacrifice. One of them had to die. Jennifer looked directly at Marjorie and stated, matter-of-factly, "I'm going to have to die." When Marjorie asked why, Jennifer simply said, "Because we decided." In March 1993, a miracle, the twins were being transferred from Broadmoor to a more open clinic in Wales. Their 11-year nightmare was over. On the bus ride to their new life, Jennifer rested her head on June's shoulder. Her last reported words were, "At long last, we're out." But hours after they arrived at the Caswell Clinic, Jennifer was rushed to the hospital. She was unresponsive. At 6:15 p.m. that same day, Jennifer Gibbons was pronounced dead. She was 29 years old. The autopsy revealed the cause of death was acute myocarditis, sudden fatal inflammation of the heart. There were no drugs in her system, no poison, no sign of foul play. Her death was, by all medical and legal standards, a complete and utter mystery. A tragic, inexplicable, natural event. Days later, Marjorie Wallace visited a grieving June. She found her in a hospital bed, surprisingly alert. June looked at her and said, I'm free at last, liberated, and at last, Jennifer has given up her life for me. Just as the pact dictated, with Jennifer gone, June began to speak. The silence was broken. She now lives a quiet life, no longer a prisoner of the bond that defined her for 3 decades. Was Jennifer's death a 1 in a billion medical coincidence? Or was it the final horrifying act of will from a woman determined to set her sister free, a psychogenic death willed into existence? We can only look at the evidence and wonder. The bond between siblings can be a sanctuary or a cage. If you thought the story of the Gibbons twins was a chilling dive into the human psyche, wait until you discover the crimes born from the twisted devotion of the Papin sisters.